You're watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire youth wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
Together we are Rubric. And welcome to every single one of you. Hope you're doing amazing. And I think that it's time to talk about New Year's Smash AEW. We always cover NXT, so it's time to give AEW the chance. I think that this show was that's how they started for me. I don't think that the whole storylines that they have going on are really entertaining for me at least. And I think that seeing Sting every single week completely kill his return, I just don't want to I want to keep seeing him, but on pay-per-view, on special occasions. At least that's my thing. But let's hear it from Jean-Paul Egg, best booker in the business.
Yeah, this show, if you're comparing this to NXT, I think NXT was a better show. Just too much on this show, not a lot of it. Like you said, we got some storylines, we got some things, and we also got a lot of the same. Like you had meant the big things. Sting just comes out, and he just looks at people and they run away. But he's a 61-year-old man with a busted neck. So really, how dangerous can he be? Mm-hmm. And, then we saw the return of Jon Moxley. He's still in the main event title scene. And, I mean, some people probably love it. Me personally, I'm more interested in the stuff Omega's doing on Impact with Rich Swann than to see him and Jon Moxley again, at least right away. That's a thing. Same thing with Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. Don't do it so soon. Wait a while and then do it again.
That create the expectation, make it look good, make people want to see it instead of giving it right away. But that's what we feel. So family, you'll be there with us for our review for NXT New Year's Evil. The Blurry Prince reigns over Kyle O'Reilly, and these two guys went to the hospital. I don't know if they're told to fight legit, but every time these two go out, Paul, they absolutely kill each other to the point that they have to go to the hospital again.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, nothing's broken, and hopefully it's not another thing where it's Finn Balor's on the shelf for a couple weeks, but it was a good match, but I still think the first one was better. But New Year's Evil, check out our thoughts on those matches. Most of them legit. One of them, made us scratch our heads, why is this even on the show? Yes. But check it out.
Yeah, but and that's related, or that actually sounds like the way. So that's what we have. So let's start with the first match that opened New Year's match day 1, and that was the Young Bucks again with SCU going against the Acclaim and a Hybrid. This is the Acclaim here is the team that they're actually pushing. The Acclaim, the John Cena wannabe, all of that. They love that gimmick. I mean, he comes out and he raps pretty well. I'll say that. And of course, he's more rated R, kind of like the way that John Cena used to be. Mm-hmm. So I did like that, and SCU did a pretty decent job. A lot of people think that they should retire, but in the promo that they cut afterwards, it clearly sounds that they're not going to retire anytime soon. The Hybrid, they're in AEW. That's the only thing I can tell you. They're like any other tag team. And Bucks, Bucks of Youth, they just pretty much are trying to get over the Acclaim, I feel. That's what they're trying to do, the way that they're booking this. But let's hear it from you.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, the Hybrid, too, they're just kind of there to be in this 8-man tag. They're really trying to get the Acclaimed over. I like when he was rapping in the beginning, and Jericho, he's saying John Cena and some other names, and Jericho's like, he can't say that. Oh, are we going to get fined? He can't say that on this program. So, that was pretty funny, but the match itself, I'm going to be honest, I really couldn't get into it. It was just too much. In the first minute and a half, you have 6 of these dudes standing on the outside, and one guy jumps on all of them, and I'm like, okay, we need to see this right away. This spot shouldn't all these guys be on the apron you're supposed to, waiting for your tag? But so it was a typical just indie, let's all just run around, flip around kind of match. But like you said, the Acclaimed on the heel team was really the team that, they're trying to get over, which I think is the appropriate of the two teams you want to get over. But SCU, I still really like, a big fan of Frankie Kazarian, big fan of Christopher Daniels. And, after this match, which, surprise, who won this thing?
The baby faces.
The baby faces. I think they hit the BTE.
It was they were trying for the Meltzer driver. But then I think it was Matt. He actually dove, and then he couldn't do it. Then he did a suicide dive onto all the guys that they were on the apron. So then Christopher Daniels claimed he got to the top, and then he did the moonsault kind of
the best moonsault ever. Okay,
yeah, and the best moonsault ever. Then he went and so he held Nick to just do the driver. So that's how they won.
Yeah, I know it was a real awkward looking as I'm watching. I'm like, what? Is this a botch or is this set up? But it just looked kind of funny. But then after the match, SCU, they pretty much said, oh, like, we're going to challenge, and if we can't win, we're never going to, we're going to break up as a tag team. And I'm like, why does Tony Khan love these, like, ultimatums where it's like, I either do it or I'm done forever? Like, Cody can't challenge for the world title. Somebody else made that.
No, the Bucks said that. The Bucks said that.
Yeah, the Bucks said that.
Like, if they do, then we'll never challenge again.
And I'm like, why? When they did it with Cody, it was like, oh, shit. You do it with the Bucks, and it's like, whatever. You do it with SCU, and it's literally crickets. Nobody gives a shit. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it's true though.
It's like okay, like what a stupid thing to do.
It is. It is a pretty damn pretty lame thing to do. Another thing that is lame for me, I love Jericho. I absolutely do. But why is he like? If they don't have anything for him, then he needs to be on commentary. I just don't get it. He does say a few good things. Like you said, he gets into it. He kind of like is funny at times, but like if there's nothing for him to do, then just don't have him on.
Or if you're gonna do that, then take off Excalibur or give JR the night off or give Shivani, just do 3-man team.
Yeah, like
people say, oh, we want to see a 2-man commentary team, and we hate how WWE has a 3-man team. But then AEW almost every week is giving us a 4-man team.
It's like 9 already. Yeah, everybody just shows up, they sit down, and then they have a place, to be in the commentary booth. I don't like that. So, like I said, he says good things. He gets you into it, but I don't think he's needed every single time. Especially Jericho. I think he's going to transition at some point when he no longer do it. But I think that for now is at least don't have him every week. So now let's move on, Paul, to Jon Moxley. That's his return. He was like, okay, he's going to talk for the first time ever since losing the title to Kenny Omega. So I guess, he showed up on New Japan with Wrestle Kingdom. He got a promo because he's still the United States champion over there. So he said the Boogeyman is coming back. So same kind of verbiage, same kind of thing. He comes back and he says, Omega, like, I'm coming after you. Maybe not right now because he respects Rey Fenix. He has a match tonight. So he's like, hey, he fought 13 years of his life. He wants to be legit. So, like, that's why he just said, hey, he has his opportunity, but whoever wins the championship, or like he's actually implying that Omega's going to retain, I'm coming after you. So, what do you think of this? To me, Jon Moxley, promo-wise, is always good, but maybe he's going to show up at a Hard to Kill. Because of what happened, at the end of the show, I think that he's going to show up at a Hard to Kill.
Yeah, and that would be really good. I think that would just really like pop Impact as well, which is what Impact's hoping to get out of this deal and this partnership, which I think it's been working out so far for him. But yeah, I like the promo from Moxley. The only thing is, I wish it. Not saying he would have been like Ilya Dragunov, but at least do something where like he comes back and is like, oh, I got to take a step back and earn my title shot again. But I guess it's because he didn't lose clean. He lost, Don Callis interfered and all that. So, I get it, but I feel like there's so many other matchups that we want to see, because I'm more interested in seeing like Rich Swann versus Omega or seeing like Moose versus Omega. I'm more interested in seeing those matchups than matchups with Omega and other people in AEW.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing is like because they're like crossovering. I think that like everybody wants to see that, and especially for example with the girls, like hey, with Hikaru, let's say Jordan Grace or Taya Valkyrie show up, like Diana show up, things like that. It will be more interesting because we've seen Moxley and Omega, but like you said, down the road, maybe a few months, like you said in the review before, they like to give like long reigns to the champions, so we'll see what they do. That was the promo that Jon Moxley gave us. Let's go to next. Wardlow versus Jake Hager, probably one of the best matches of the night. These guys just out of like to see who's the best man out of the two. Let's see, we're in the inner circle, we're like partners, but let's see out of like the two who's the better man. So I like this, and Wardlow looked pretty good, pretty dominant, pretty decent, especially with somebody like Jake Hager's size. So I think that putting him over, like Jake Hager putting Wardlow over, like it's gonna give him some kind of stock, some money right there, so he can start lobbying for other championship opportunities. So that was good in my eyes.
Yeah, I like this as well. Just kind of the same thing I said about the first match in NXT. Two big guys just going at it, beating the hell out of each other. I think the NXT Cross and Priest was better than this, though. But this wasn't bad. Both of these guys are Hager's not bad, and Wardlow's still, I would say, pretty green. Like, he looks good in the ring, and, you know, he hits his moves and they look good, but still just like the psychology and like what to do, when to do it, how to do it kind of deal is still, you know, it's developing. But I like this. I don't know, did you see the one spot where he tried to leapfrog over Jake Hager, and Hager's like, what, 6'4", 6'5", and it looks like Hager's head hit him right in the nuts. And I'm like, oh, now they're copying NXT by doing the nut shots. So, you know, but I mean, Wardlow, I like it because he had him in the ankle lock. He fought out of that and everything. And, you know, I actually thought it was going to be over. I'm like, okay, it's going to be hard fought. And, you know, they're going to put Jake Hager over. But then, you know, no, he hit the big F10, 1, 2, 3, and he pins him. And I'm like, you know, that's
and you know what,
legit because I wasn't expecting that.
The only complaint I have, you know, Hager was right next to the rope. So, you know, there's wrestlers that know that the rope's there.
Well, like I said, they were copying the Priest and Cross match because remember after Cross punched him in the back of the neck, he was right there at the rope and he didn't even.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so some wrestlers know that the rope is right there, some others don't know. I mean, in the world of kayfabe, you know, like, okay. But yeah, like you said, Wardlow gets the win. I think that this year could be Wardlow's like the breakthrough superstar. Maybe
him. And we can address it now when there was Jake Hager was in the back and he was all pissed off, and MJF went up to him and was like, hey, you know, his oh, hey buddy, hey like that's everybody's his buddy. You know, because he doesn't know any other words, but he's like, oh, hey, buddy, how's it going? And he's like, oh, you know, Jake Hager's all pissed off, and he's like, hey, you know, Wardlow's legit, but you're legit too. It was hard fought. Kind of like hinting that maybe I could easily see Wardlow kind of being like, fuck the Inner Circle, fuck you, MJF, and branching off. And then MJF kind of sticks there. I could see, like you said, a push for Wardlow. I could see that like in a singles run. Now, I don't know how far he'll get pushed, but I'm starting to see the storyline kind of progression there of that.
It will be good. It will be good. He deserves it. I think it's a good idea. And, you know, newer stars that AEW needs also, like, benefit from Impact, but also create your own. So, you know, that's what we have. Let's go to the weigh-in. You know, Darby Allin showing like the new TNT Championship. Like you said, they retired the old version of it. They gave her the new one. It looks a lot better. Like the end detail is really good. So like he's gonna have the weigh-in with like Brian Cage. This was just to me like dumb because
this was awful.
Yeah, you know, why would you have a weigh-in when you know that like you know the one guy's over like completely like over in weight. You know, he's a lot heavier than like Darby. And what was like 220? I think it was like.
Darby was. Darby was 170, and they said Brian Cage was like 270.
Nah, there you go. So like I'm like,
he was like 100 pounds heavier.
And I'm like, that's cool, you know. Like, yeah, that's clearly he can beat him, you know, like in no time. And then Taz kind of running his mouth, and like he sounds a little ghetto at times. I don't really like that.
Do you think Taz is like overly annoying? Like he like cranks his like, oh, I'm gonna yell at everybody, dial up to 10, and it's like it's not even like a cool manager. It's just like a really annoying, like he's just like a crybaby.
Maybe just like the character, you know.
Because like he runs his mouth, and then you know, obviously we'll get there. But if you watched AEW the past 4 weeks, you know what happens. He runs his mouth, and then you know, like I said, an old 61-year-old man with a broken neck shows up, and then he runs away like a pussy.
Oh yeah, well, like Darby. The problem is like Darby also like said, you know, I know how this is gonna end. You know, it's like, oh, like, so let's do it. So they wanted, like, they were like hinting of him and beating him up. So he's just ready. He grabs, like you said, the skateboard. He grabs like the title. So they're about to, and like you said, Papi has to show up, right? Papi had to show up to make sure that the kid doesn't get beat up, and that's Sting. Like you said, boom, right away they leave. Just a 61-year-old.
You know, and we had voted for, you know, the fans have voted, everybody voted for Sting for the moment of the year for last year, biggest surprise and everything, but since that debut, just having him come out every week and, you know, either cut a happy promo like, I'm happy to be here, or just walk out and say nothing and scare people away who could easily beat him up, it just kills it.
Oh, yeah, it does. And it does. And absolutely. Like, well, now we're going to nominate him for, like, the most overly moment of the, you know, of the year. And he's already just
biggest flop. The biggest flop.
Yeah, no, it's going to be the most like repeated like you know segment of the year, and that's going to be Sting. And we're not saying he's not good. We're just saying like why they have to have him on the show every single show because it doesn't feel special anymore. No. You know, you're just using that to gather people, but especially if he doesn't do anything or says anything, I don't know if it is impactful enough for me. At least I don't think that's going to do it. So next week that's going to be the main event. It's going to be Darby, you know, defending the championship against Brian Cage. We'll see what they do. Hopefully a title switch for me. I'm not against it. You know, Brian Cage deserves a little better. Darby, like again, I don't know what it is, but you know, they say that he could be the next Jeff Hardy. I think that he has a long way there. to get to what Jeff Hardy.
Oh, I think Darby's one of those like guys who I'd put in the MJF Hangman Adam Page boat, where it's like you can get this guy can be one of your top stars in a couple years. Like you groom this guy, you make him legit. He's one of those people who is going to be on the AEW poster from years to come. But it's right now. It's just they put him in this feud with Team Taz and the thing with Sting, and then they bring Cody in it, and Cody was the main focus for like 2 or 3 weeks of it. So just Darby Allin to me feels like an afterthought.
Yeah, well,
it's like the focus of the feud is either Sting or Cody, and it's like it should be on Darby. He's the one who has the belt.
Exactly. So like that's what like, and also like just groom him, like you said, make him look good, and they're not doing that. It's like, oh, he can barely talk. Oh yeah, I know how this is. Let's do it. It's like, do you want to be here? No. It's like, and like Poppy's coming. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like, okay. Can you be on your own? Can you defend yourself? Like, as a champion, you need to sound confident instead of like, I'm here. Show me a little bit of excitement here. So
yeah. I mean, that's the character they like, though. They like that emo and don't give a shit character, I guess.
I guess. Well, respect for every single one that likes the character. But, I loved it. No, I don't like this either. Snoop Dogg is in the house. So WWE is they're really pissed. They took away like the rapping part for the Sasha Banks song because, pettiness all over the top. And he got a promo with like Private Party talking about, hey, man, we're good. We're going to challenge for the tag titles at some point. You're legit. Matt Hardy showed up. All of that. So like, they had to cash on Snoop Dogg, and why? Because he's going to be on the Big Show, and it's not the WWE Big Show. It's just a show with Cody and Natalie Jennifer Nettles, that from Sugarland. So that's why he was there. So then that led us to a match, right here with Matt Sydal. This is to me like an old WWE, Cody Rhodes against Zeb Byrne, right there. Boom. It was a pretty decent match, but that's all there was because I have no interest in this. This is the kind of matches that I'm just watching it there. I don't care who wins. I don't care who loses. I think that like Cody's always going to win. So like there's no way he's going to put him over.
This to me was like random. Like every other match kind of had a storyline aspect to it. Things that progressed either somebody's feud or something. It was like, okay, should just be like a good exhibition. I think for this match to make any kind of sense and have any kind of impact would have been if Matt Sydal had won.
Yes.
Like, okay, because we already know who Cody is. He comes out with the gospel music and more pyro than everyone else combined and all the other bullshit, the fanfare. Oh, I'm Dusty's son. Okay, yeah. But, like, let's get Matt Sydal over. He's been a veteran for 20-some years, I think they said. Like, let's build this guy up. Cody's already up here. But let's get Sydal there. But yeah, it just seemed like a random exhibition, and no Arn Anderson. You had Snoop Dogg, and he had the thing in front of his mouth, like the playbook, and like, yeah, what's he doing? He's probably like, oh yeah, I just want to order some juice, manizzle. Like what is he even saying? And they're trying to be like, oh yeah, he knows football, he knows sports. Like, shut up.
He's the only one that can talk about that, right? So we're just completely we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's like, no, he doesn't. Like, I'm not going to hate on Snoop Dogg or shit on it because, hey, if they said, oh, Jean-Paul, we're going to pay you a bunch of money to do exactly what Snoop Dogg did, I'd say yes. So I'm not going to hate on Snoop Dogg, but I just don't like how they try to get him over like he's some kind of smart sports, mind.
Yeah,
but,
no.
But I mean, the match itself I thought was really good. I liked it. And I especially liked the ending when he hit. I shouldn't say I liked the ending because I wish Sydal would have won, but it was smart because he hit the crossroads, but he was near the ropes. So he picked them up and hit the crossroads again more in the middle of the ring. And also he had to hit his finisher twice to put Sydal down.
Yeah, and at least he makes him look decent. The part that I always hate because like Serpentico and Luger came out and all of that, and we get to see this. Really?
Oh, yeah, because earlier in the match, they, knocked Serpentico, and they're like, oh, no, and then those two, loser jobbers got pissed, and then you see it's, which, I mean, I guess it shows it was just a friendly exhibition, because you have Sydal and Cody, they're both holding Serpentico, so they're working together. It's not like, oh, I'm pissed that you beat me, and we're going to start a feud, which would have been probably the most legit thing to do if you're going to have this match, at least make it mean something, but instead, it was all done to see Snoop probably hit one of the worst frog splashes. We can never talk shit about Sasha Banks or anybody else ever again after seeing this.
Nope.
This was awful.
And the best impersonation of Carmelo and what Dennis Rodman did and back in the day, because we don't know about sports. Clearly we don't know what we're talking about. We don't know Snoop. What we see. That's right there. Boom. You got to put Snoop Dogg over.
And I'm not trying to be offensive to this guy, and I forget his name, but that guy who doesn't have any legs that was in the Battle Royal a couple years ago for AEW, I think he could hit a better frog splash.
Oh yeah, like and for example,
Snoop.
they never cashed in on that guy. It would have been a lot better. But see, that's the picture right there. CODY and Snoop Dogg.
And it's all just to promote that bullshit show that nobody.
Well, if you remember, they were even all over like the ring. They were like they had like paper all over. They were like you see all the Big Show and all of that. I mean, they have to do it. They give them money. It's all maybe contract obligations. It's all good. We're not gonna shit on that. But like that was Snoop Dogg on AEW's match, and for this, he's probably gonna be hated in the WWE forever. So
that's fine. I don't like celebrities in wrestling to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, like if at least they're gonna fight or they have some kind of fighting background, it doesn't seem like that out of place. But it's like kind of reminiscent WCW days. They have to do it, So let's go to like the main matches right here. Matches that headline actually the show, and see that's Hikaru Shida going against Abaddon. This was like decent. I don't think it was absolutely great. I mean, Abaddon looked pretty good. Hikaru looked great, but like see the story they were trying to tell in the end, like everything that led to the ending of it, like it didn't make quite sense for me because Abaddon like was dominating, then he put her like inside like underneath the ring, and then I think he kind of beat her one more time, and then Hikaru came out like bleeding. So like, and then of course the pictures has to like damage it for me because I'm excited about it, and then boom, the picture I'm just like gotta get myself one more time in the game, and I don't like that. But then in the end, Hikaru hit like Tamashi and done.
The ending was kind of just like okay because I felt like Abaddon still had a lot of the momentum at that point. And and they do the whole thing like, oh, she bit her neck, and oh, she still has the marks, and the bleeding and all this stuff, and they're like, oh, the ref shouldn't stop the match, and I don't mind her having the zombie gimmick and all that stuff, and the blood running down the face, but like, and again, I probably shouldn't be surprised since AEW never ends anything in a DQ. They just let these wrestlers do whatever they want, but it's like. It's like if you bite your opponent, that should be like ding, 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 ring the bell.
Yes, yeah.
Like especially if like you're gonna have like the blood on Shida and stuff, and to be like she drew blood and all this, like ring the bell. And also no offense to Abaddon because I am a fan of hers, but like maybe do a couple sit-ups and tone up the belly. I know you're a fan of the extra brisket, but it did look like
I love it.
It did look like a marshmallow in wrestling gear. So it's like let's tone up the belly a little bit. Look legit because just looking at the two, I'm like, no, like Shida's the champ. You're not going to put the belt.
So. Keep getting that belly, baby. Keep. I have like here Wawa. I have some like croissants. I have bagels for you, baby.
Yeah, I want to hook you up with the sandwiches.
No. We need that belly to actually a little more, baby. We need that. I'll pay the $2. That's
but
fine.
I mean, this is the thing too. It's just is Abaddon gonna win? No, she's not a woman who, at least not right now, is your AEW Women's Championship material. She's not. Yeah. I always say it. Who do you picture on the side of the bus on the posters? Is it Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, women like that, or is it Abaddon?
Yes. No, it is like you said. It makes sense if you do Britt Baker, but it needs to happen now. After Abaddon, I mean, like they had to have girls like this just to like get you there. For what it's going to be.
And I think Hikaru Shida had a pretty decent run for like the women's title, but nobody had a really long title reign. Riho's might have been the longest, unless Shida's has been. Now.
Shida is now actually the longest one. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I mean. Like she had a good run. Give it to Baker. And let her have a shot with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Baker is the one. Hikaru did a fantastic job. The Thunder Rosa thing was good. Nyla Rose was good. Penelope Ford, all right. And then now.
And to me, like giving it to Britt Baker, she could beat like Shauna is doing good on AEW Dark. She called out Hikaru Shida, so that could be a challenger. Chris Statlander, I think, is going to be back soonish, so that's another one. But I think the title progression needs to go to Britt Baker and then to Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa is like right there also. She was on Dark, so also we're going to have this match next week. So at least this is like, hey, I'm trying to help Serena Dev. Like she has some airtime. It's cool. They love her. I think she's a pretty good wrestler. Character-wise, maybe she doesn't have one, but at least, she's the NWA, the women's champion, and they take Conti. I mean, she's aligned with the Dark Order. She cut a promo. She said, hey, you know, I'm going to be the champion because I'm not going to be alone. I have my guys. And you could see Reynolds. You could see also like Anna Jay. All of them were right there surrounding her. It's like, hey, she's not going to be alone. She's going to have the Dark Order by her side. So she's going to be the new champion. I don't think she's ready to be a champion. You know, take on.
No, this will be Serena Deeb will be probably coaching her and teaching her as the match is going on. Like, oh, do this, do that. Okay, hit me with this, hit me with that. This will probably be the best match Tay Conti has because Serena Deeb is in there.
Oh yeah, so like, you know, that's why we're gonna have a little bit of the stuff we're gonna get next week, but it's good, you know, at least like see new people getting championship opportunities just for the opportunity itself. To me speaks volumes. It's like, hey, at least we do that. Have we ever seen that with like Liv Morgan? Have we ever seen that, you know, with like?
No, I think Liv might have had one shot against Charlotte when Charlotte was a champ.
Or remember,
and then that was it.
With like Ronda Rousey, but that was like 2 seconds, you know. That was 2 seconds. So I mean, like, I would like Ruby Riott to get those opportunities. You know what I mean? Like people that never were considered to be at least an opportunity for a championship. I would like that. So that's what we're gonna get next week. But now let's go, Paul, to the main event. This was a pretty good match. I gotta admit, you know, Rey Fenix and Kenny Omega told me a really beautiful story. You know, Rey Fenix, like his resiliency, his explosiveness, the caliber of an athlete he is, I would not mind to see a title switch because how good Rey Fenix is. But we know that Kenny Omega and Don Callis is the money, is the mark right now. Is what they're selling. There's no way that they're going to take the title away from Omega.
Yeah.
But, you know, your thoughts on this, because I know you love Rey Fenix and I know you love this match.
Yeah, and Rey Fenix, what was that? I guess that was a picture of him on that, like he had a jacket on and he came out, but it looked like Rey Mysterio. Like the mask looked like it had the eagles coming down on the side like Mysterio. It didn't have the little pointing like ears or wings that Rey Fenix's mask does. I'm like, did he have fucking Rey Mysterio? I'm like, what's going on here? But but I guess it was another mask of his because it did say Rey Fenix like in the text on the jacket. But no, I really like this match, and like you said, Rey Fenix is so good. I would have loved a title change too, but the one thing that AEW does, I have to applaud them for their, you know, that world heavyweight title is everything. It's always a story. Whenever they do the title change, it's a feud that's been building for weeks and weeks and weeks, even months, and like it feels legit. While this match, I don't want to say it kind of came out of nowhere, but it kind of came out of nowhere. Like they had the heat before, oh yeah, the tournament, you know, this and that, but it wasn't like a legit story. It wasn't like Phoenix was chasing him for months trying to get this title, you know, this title shot. So, you know, you knew the belt wasn't going to change, and like you said, everything with Impact, Hard to Kill. What's Omega going to show up at Hard to Kill with the Good Brothers and not be the champ?
Yeah.
No. So that, you know, that one sell no tickets, even though nobody buys tickets anymore. But anyway, this match was really good. I liked it. They gave him a decent amount of time, and normally I hate these spots, but I don't know. Maybe I'm a mark for Rey Fenix. I don't know, but I love it when they just, in this match, like when Omega, I think Omega hit like a knee strike or something, and then Phoenix like hit like a super kick or like, and they just are, I forget what the sequence was, but when they hit these big moves, and then he's like, oh, he uses his last bit of strength, hits a move, and then they both fall to the mat and stuff. Like, I like that. And I think it just shows that's like, you know,
and it's not really nowhere because he's like, you know, like that, boom, just boom, holds up and boom, like that. Yep. I love the spot that he did, like the German, you know,
yes.
Rope, that was pretty good.
And
also,
Excalibur like was jizzing when he hit that. He was like, "Oh my god!"
And the one thing I would say about Excalibur, Paul, is like, you know, when he said no, you know, like when it's like 1, 2, 3, no, like you can see at least the intensity.
He has the like excitement and all that is good. It's just like when somebody does a basic move and he's like, "Oh, that's a blah 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 blah," and he uses like the Japanese name, and Jim Ross is like, "What?"
Like you feel like if it is awkward for Jim Ross, imagine how awkward it is for the ones watching.
Jim Ross is probably like, can you call it a German suplex? Can you call it like some weird ass fucking name that nobody ever heard? And it's like,
and if Jim Ross didn't hear about that, then you know there's a problem with that. So, like you said, it's good. I like Rey Fenix. You know, anything else you would like to mention, because I feel that like that summarizes it all. It was a pretty good match. B triggers a lot of it. Rey Fenix like kicked out of pretty much everything. Kicked out of everything. Don Callis at some point, like we got to see also, like he was like pretty much like, you know, like so scared that like he was gonna lose the championship, because Rey Fenix hit a lot of great offense. You know, he did pretty good. Like, and well, you know, we knew that the match was not gonna end like that. So in the end, Kenny Omega pretty much, you know, hit like the big trigger, and then it wasn't over. So he realized that really quick. He hit the One Wing Angel, 1, 2, 3, and then he retains, and that was really great. But that wasn't the end of it. You know, he starts like John Moxley came out. and then that's the kind of cool part that I think about this show, because then everybody starts beating up Jon Moxley, but then he got help from other people. They showed up, and then we get to see these guys.
Well, and they also showed, I think it was before this, they showed that like Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade, and the Bunny were beating up Pac and Penta.
Yes.
And it's like, so now it's like, okay, Phoenix lost this. He's out of the title picture because he needs to help Death Triangle, feud with Kingston and the Butcher and the Blade. So now we at least know what Phoenix and them are going to be doing, whether, we want to see this 6-man feud again, not really, but I guess that's what they're giving us. And then, like you said, the Good Brothers came out, they were beating up Moxley, beating up all these guys, and you saw all the jobbers, all the losers, like Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., the people nobody cares about. They all jumped in the ring, and like you said, if there's ever a moment that people will realize that this feels like WCW, it was this. Where you just have people hitting the ring and the NWO is standing there like, we run the show, brother. And then all this shit, and they're beating everybody up. Oh, who's going to save us? And then, Jon Moxley Sting comes out with the bat, but they beat him up too. And, then the Bucks come out and you think, oh, the Bucks are going to be the voice of reason. But then they're like, no, too sweet. Because the whole time when all 5 of these guys were in the ring, oh, it's been forever since we've all seen these 5 in the ring. It's been since New Japan. Oh my God, look, they're all in the ring. They're all in the ring. Everybody on commentary except Jim Ross didn't have had a boner, but that might be because Jim Ross can't get one anymore, and because he's not excited by what we're seeing. And they all did the too sweet. And Don Callis is like, ee.
Oh yeah. Don Callis was like pretty much just having a seizure of how excited he was, and we get to see the Bullet Club is back again.
I mean, it's a cool image, but to me, like the Bullet Club, legit. If you don't have Finn Balor or AJ Styles there, to me, it's like, okay.
I mean,
and you're never gonna have
like Adam Cole in it, because Adam Cole was in it at some point. So like all these guys are in WWE, so like it's kind of like, I mean, it is the version that they can give us for the now. But I mean, it's cool that like they did a little bit of cross promotion.
And the only thing, so now we see 5 guys. I would assume that this is like the team. But then it's like, now who's going to go against them? Because that Tony Khan is drooling for a 10-man tag.
Yes.
So you got Moxley. You could say maybe Phoenix, Pac. So that Death Triangle and Moxley. And then they got to get one more. Probably Cody. Cody will be like, oh, let me do it so I can,
let me help you out so it's like even. Yeah, so that's
let me help you out so I can put myself in the main event because I'm Cody.
Yeah, and that will be maybe Revolution. We might see, build up towards that. So we'll see what happens. But a lot of people are excited. To me, I'm more excited to see like the cross promotion that we've never seen before. Like I said to you, Yana, going there with Hikaru. Maybe see, like you said, Rick Swann with Omega, Moose showing up on AEW. That will be great, like the music and all of that, just showing up there, show his presence. I would love that. That's what we have for night 1. And like I said, I always say the Edge is for like NXT, like New Year's Evil. But like this was like, there's some spots are good, and we cannot say there's never a show that is perfect. But at least some stuff is good. Hikaru is always good for me. She's a great champion. And I mean, like I said, Bullet Club is back, family. So this concludes the reviews for every single one of you. Thank you so very much. Later in the day, we have NXT UK. So that's what we're excited about. That's why we're saving ourselves for what is going to be NXT UK. Piper Niven against Jeannie for like #1 contender for the Women's Championship from Kaylee Ye. So family, thank you so very much. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Where else can they find us in the social media world?
And also don't forget to follow us on Facebook on Rope Break, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, the original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the original Rope Break.
So family, we'll see you in a few hours, and you and me have one more thing that is left to say.